Next up over here on the JP version of the game, on the Cycling Fate Apocrypha raid up, we have Jeanne d'Arc going on raid up. And while I don't think she's particularly like one of the best servants in the game or anything, or a must summon or anything crazy like that, I just really like Jeanne. Obviously, I'm a huge Jeanne simp, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about her in today's video. Any excuse to talk about our holy maiden is a good excuse in my book. That being said, I don't think she's bad, I just don't think she's worth actually summoning for, considering you can get her on like any banner. And we still need to see 2 of her skills get buffed before I think she's going to be super crazy, although you could look at it as somewhat of an investment, because her second skill and her NP are already pretty good. And if we look at Amakusa, who is kind of just like the offensive version of Jeanne, he got an insane glow up, so potentially Jeanne could also be the same, although more support based. So take all that for what you will, but if you guys have not already, go ahead and give your boy that like and that subscribe. You know, I'm on that daily FGO content grind for you guys. I'm on the road to 100k, and a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel will go a long way in helping your boy reach the end of that journey. You can also click that join button to become a channel member if you want some extra content here on the channel. I'm going to start throwing up challenge quest videos for channel members when I can, and then I'm also going to be doing polls when we get enough channel members to give them exclusive content like exclusive servant reviews and stuff like that. So if any of that interests you, you can click that join button to become a channel member. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this by diving right into Jeanne. Yes, please. Starting off with her hits. And it's no surprise that her hits are really not all that good because she is a year 1 servant. And at that, she's also one of the first servants to even be out in the game. She's not even like someone like Raiko or Jack, where you can kind of see a little bit of flaws in them because they're like later year 1. But no, like Jeanne's like early year 1. So really the only thing that you should be taking away from her hits is that she has a triple arts deck. That's really important because you really want to be spamming Jeanne's NP as much as you can because the NP is probably the best thing that she has. And more importantly, having a triple arts deck means if you're going to use her as a soloer, because she does solo pretty well by herself, it does mean that you could just spam arch chains all day, every day, and basically just always have her NP up at all times. Her NP charge per attack actually isn't all that bad either at 0.76%. The only unfortunate thing is that if you're going to use her as a soloer, you're not really genning a whole lot of stars. And the way that those arts cards are built with 2 hits each, you really do want to be critting on them to get the most use out of them. So that can be a little unfortunate, but I mean, arguably, Jeanne may have something in the back pocket for that when we go to her skills, which, starting off, her first skill is giving her 9 stars every turn for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, maybe you can say that, like, oh, she has a little bit of star gen, in which, let's not kid ourselves, this is really not good enough at all. Although Shiro Amakusa had the same skill and then it became targetable, gave him 10 stars per turn, and also gave whoever it was targeted on a big buff to their NP gain. So who knows what Jeanne could get for her buff? Maybe just the exact same thing, honestly. Or I could see them making it a bit more of like a party-wide buff and try to make her more of a support ruler and maybe gives the entire party like 50% crit damage for 3 turns, like something crazy like that. Or they can make it like a targetable crit star regeneration buff with an NP regeneration buff tagged onto it as well. I think that could also be pretty nice. It just seems like the opportunities for this skill are endless because it's actually just year 1 super basic skill. We can go ahead and look at skill 2 and kind of see the direction they're moving her in, because this skill originally was just reducing one enemy's servant's NP damage by 30% for 1 turn. This was then buffed to not be only restricted to servants, because obviously lore reasons, rulers are supposed to be like suppressing servants and Grail Wars are supposed to be the mediators. But then they realized that most of the time, lore a servant good does not make. So now you can reduce any enemy's NP damage by 30% for 1 turn, which is decent. But what's more interesting is that she has this reduction of one enemy's defense by 20% for 1 turn, and then an additional defense lower of 30% that lasts for 3 turns. So on that first turn, they overlap to lower the enemy's defense by 50% for that turn, meaning everyone is going to be slam dunking on that person and obliterating them. And it kind of shows that they might be moving for Jeanne being either like a suppression type servant, where all she's going to be doing is just like lowering the values of the enemy party, or she's going to be a damage support that also has really good survivability support with her NP. So it's a little hard to say, especially going into her 3rd skill. This is also just the issue that Amakusa had. It's a chance to stun an enemy servant for 1 turn. But then for Amakusa, they gave him a buster buff, but that kind of made sense for Amakusa because he has an offensive NP. Jeanne doesn't have an offensive NP, so I think it'd be really weird if they gave it an arts buff. Instead, I think something better to do would be maybe reduce that enemy's arts resistance by like 30% for 3 turns, so then it kind of feeds into this idea that Jeanne is a damage support that also gives you a lot of damage by suppressing the enemy. And I think I would really like that style of gameplay. I think it'd be really interesting, especially on that one turn where you would have skill 2 and 3 up at the same time. God forbid her first skill is that crit support that I really want, because then she'll just be really good for like arts crit meme comps, and we really don't have a dedicated arts crit support servant that's on the level of someone like Scotty or Merlin, so maybe Jeanne, fingers crossed, could become that person. Before somebody comments, be like, well, what about like Lan Ling, what about Caskill? They're definitely good, but they're not on the level of like Scotty, Merlin, Koyenskaya, like they're not on those levels for those servants and how much crit damage they give to people, which is why I really think another good idea for skill 1 might just be to make it targetable, but then it gives one ally like 3 hits of 100% crit damage for 3 turns, so she could be a super crazy arts crit support servant, but we'll have to see what they do with either skill 1 or skill 3 because it's a little too early to call right now. Because that second skill is just a little too broad and vague to see what direction they're going in. But then we probably have the best part of Jeanne right now, her NP, which actually is absolutely abysmal if you don't upgrade it. Please, for the love of God, if you have Jeanne, make sure you upgrade your Jeanne so she's not stunning herself. Because after you get it upgraded, she gives the entire party invincibility for 1 turn, so basically the Merlin Nope skill, but on an NP. That also gives the entire party 5 to 25% defense for 3 turns, which, not gonna lie, at NP1, actually kind of just abysmal, like you're literally getting no increase at all. But if you happen to, for whatever reason, find or have an NP5 Jeanne, 25% defense actually ain't nothing if you're combining it with other skills, or you manage to loop her NP twice. This is especially good in solo content if you have an NP5 Jeanne, because then you can almost perpetually have 50% defense, which is really good. It then removes the entire party's debuffs, which, again, buff cleansing is insanely good. And you can actually use this in combos. Like, let's say we have a team comp where we have Castoria, Galatea, and then Jeanne. If Galatea is stunned, I can pop Jeanne's NP and then have 2 of Galatea's face cards follow up on it, because the NP will remove the buff and then allow Galatea to attack. So it's really good to just have this on like an NP. And then it's obviously good because if you're getting like your defense lowered, your NP damage lowered, your attack lowered, they're lowering your like critical damage or something, just anything weird like that you can also remove. Burn, getting rid of that. I know a lot of people fought the Liz fight in Saber Wars 2. That was pretty annoying. Pack yourself someone like Jeanne and you're just bada boom, bada bing, ready to go. No more debuffs, no more spam burn. Because then, depending on her overcharge level, she's going to be healing the entire party's HP by 1,000 to 3,000 every turn for 2 turns. So, most of the time, if she's going to be your lead in an NP, that's just going to be 2k recovery, which isn't really a big deal. But if you can really go for that overcharge 4 or 5, I mean, 2,500 3k HP over 2 turns isn't all that bad. That's an additional 5 to 6k HP, so that's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, it definitely could be better, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to gas up this kind of heal, but, you know, it's not nothing, and our NP is definitely very good as far as, like, support defensive utility goes. Now, again, would I recommend summoning for Jeanne? Definitely not. I don't think she's there to the point where you would want to go ahead and summon for her, but upgrading that second skill was definitely a step in the right direction. We'll just have to wait and see what her next buff is going to be, and that'll kind of tell us what direction they're going in with her. And if it's good enough, then she actually might become like Amakusa, where I think Shiro Amakusa is borderline a must-summon servant. Like, I think he's phenomenal. We're just gonna have to wait and see what they do, but let me know in the comments down below what buffs you want to see Jeanne get, and what you think also is feasible for her to get. Because, you know, you might say, oh, I want her to get like 100% arts buff for 5 turns, but that's not very feasible. So let me know what you want, but what you're expecting. You know, I think that's kind of an interesting thing to do, so you can kind of set your expectations and then see what's also realistic. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace late, guys.